All right, I was gonna put it on my light, and then I actually did the video, and then it just never. It went like 2 seconds, and I never got a chance to. So I'm just doing it on Instagram real quick. It is what is it? It's 2:15 in the morning. So I'll try to make this real quick since I'm going to do this on here because TikTok is now officially in the dark. So I don't know what's going on that. And, I have a bad hair night and I'm ready to go to bed, but don't know what I'm going to do on TikTok. It's not really messing with me right now. So I'm going to start doing a little bit more, but let's just cut right to the choice. First of all, Washington's for real. Okay. I have a friend who's one of my former B-boys and I talk a lot about him. His name's Chad. His name is Big D. He's a Washington fan. Loves the Penguins, Pirates. He's like me, likes the Penguins, Pirates. And, he doesn't like the Steelers, but he's been a Washington fan since he was a kid. I support the Steelers, but I was a Falcons fan since the 90s. He's probably running around in his picket fence house in Indiana, probably butt naked, because the Washington football team, Commanders, Redskins, whatever. 5 upsets to 1. Detroit loses, and quick reaction is simply, I think Jayden Daniels is a problem. I think Washington now officially is a problem. When Goff threw that pick 6, I think that was legitimately enough. Because every time Detroit, big play, gadget play, answered right back, Washington answered right back. Whether it was a 1-yard pass to McLaughlin on a wide out screen and outran everybody. They had an answer for everything Detroit had. And when Goff threw that interception in the end zone, going into the third quarter in the second half, I'm like, this is enough. If it's like this, Washington has this. And they had a drive that went almost 9 minutes going into the fourth quarter and scored. I don't think Washington punted the football. They had one fourth down when Mariota ran it, and he got stopped. Every time Detroit answered, Washington answered right back. And when I see that game, it just reminds me of being a Falcons fan. When the Falcons went to Washington and played that Sunday night, that was Atlanta's season. And it's through Michael Penix was clutched going down and tying the game. And then they lose the coin toss, and Atlanta never sees the football. Daniels drove down 8 minutes in that overtime and scored and won. So, I look at what I just look what Jayden Daniels did. 22 of 31, just barely 300 yards, 229, a passer rating of 123, and he ran for 51 yards on 16 carries. He's a Lamar light. He just finds ways to win. He finds ways to move the football down the field. And I try to cut this down a little bit. If you're the NFC East, this is a problem. Philadelphia runs that division right now. Dallas is trying to figure out who the heck they are with an 80-plus-year-old owner and GM. And a $250 million quarterback that's probably BB minus. And the Giants are a massive rebuild. What do? Washington is not going. Washington is now officially back, not in superpower mode, but they are now officially a problem in the NFC. Your Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, maybe even LA, maybe even San Francisco, and even Tampa, who Washington beat. And Atlanta, if Atlanta has a defense, because they've got all the other pieces, Washington is officially a problem in the NFC. They are going to make a legit issue in the NFC from this day forward. And quite honestly, I'm not even a bit surprised on it, because this organization needed it. New owner, new GM, new head coach, new offensive coordinator. You get a franchise quarterback. Your Jayden Daniels is probably the best rookie, if his name's not Andrew Luck or any other big time. So even Big Ben was crazy. Even Brady didn't even do anything until he stepped in and stepped in for Bledsoe. Jayden Daniels is the next Lamar, if not Lamar light. And I would not be surprised if Washington goes to LA or goes to Philly and plays the exact same way. I said probably when the playoffs started that they legitimately were. Every team is viable to win. Heck, even Denver with Bo Nix could probably go into Buffalo and win. And as soon as they scored one touchdown, Buffalo came back and put 31 unanswered. So it's like Washington's back. Washington's for real. I wouldn't even change the name. Don't go back to the Redskins. This is 2025. You start from here and you go forward with John Mathis as your owner, and you've got everything you ever wanted. And you very well might make the Super Bowl. And if you make the Super Bowl, I don't think I'll be shocked either. Hypothetically, if they get Kansas City in the Super Bowl, yeah, Kansas City's going to be favored. But Washington's going to give them a puncher's chance because they're that stubborn. Washington is for real. And seeing it for themselves, and I feel bad for the city of Detroit. I feel bad for what they had to deal with, and now realizing after decades and decades and decades of dismal crap and everything, you got a franchise quarterback, you got two good running backs, you got all the pieces on offense. Your defense took a major hit, and you still had next man up. You couldn't stop Jayden Daniels for your life. And I get the turnovers were a big part. I don't think it really wasn't even gambling by decision making by Dan Campbell. It wasn't even that. It was the turnovers. One turnover, that was enough for Washington to take the lead, and they never looked back. And you feel for Detroit. And Goff threw another one in the end zone. Goff had himself a decent game, but 23 of 40, 313, 3 picks. Turnovers will hurt you. And here's Detroit, a city that deserves to finally have a Super Bowl. And you never were a number one seed. You never had it. Now you have it. And you just ran into a buzzsaw. And probably Washington and next to LA and probably Kansas City are probably the 3 best, hottest teams in the league. If Kansas City, if you don't take that stupid 38-0 loss to the Broncos. Well, I think Washington's I'll keep saying it. Washington's for real. I think you better keep your eyes open from this day forward because they're only going to get it better. And I don't want to talk much about Kansas City because they got a couple calls again and found a way to win. Even Mahomes gets thrown to gets sacked, but throws the ball before his knee hits the ground, and Travis Kelce catches it like it's nothing. He was at 7 catches for 17 yards. Mahomes has a passer rating of almost 130 thrown to Kelce and about 60-70 to everybody else. D-Hop did not have a catch. Xavier Worthy had a couple. Kareem Hunt was the leading runner. If I go back and look at the, Pacheco's back on the mark. Pacheco's back, but it was Kareem Hunt who was doing who did most of the running, and he only carried the ball eight carries for 44 yards. So Mahomes, he just keeps finding ways to win, finding ways to get. And if anybody saw all that one play where he slowed down trying to run out of bounds, and someone pushed him, and he tried to flop, and he tried to buy another call, he almost did. So we're going to have the Nick Wright Arrowhead Invitational again, and it's going to end up being either Buffalo or the Ravens that are going to have to go to Kansas City to see if they can stop this dynasty, or at least put it on hold for a year. So I don't know what else to tell you. It's been a crazy, crazy evening. So I have to do it on an Instagram because I really don't know if I really want to just fidget with the YouTube stuff. So I feel bad for Detroit. Kansas City, we knew that we're going to probably find a way to win today. Or I should say yesterday because it's almost 2:30. But we'll just leave it at that. And we're going to have some fun tomorrow in the cold, in Philly, and in Buffalo. It's going to be cold. It's going to be snowy. And it's going to be -5 next week. So first reaction, feel bad for Detroit. Feel bad for Houston because they're the only team that has not made a conference final. They'll get there. It'll get better. For Houston, it'll get better. Just get a couple more pieces, get healthy, work that offensive line. They'll get better. So Houston, they'll get better. Kansas City, they're the villains. They don't care. They want that three-peat. Mahomes wants that three-peat. I don't know what to tell you about Kansas City inviting Caitlin Clark to sit next to Taylor Swift. I don't know. Don't care. I like Caitlin Clark. But what's that mean? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Feel bad for you, Detroit. And one last thing. Is Detroit's window closing? Think about this when I shut this thing off. If both coordinators, if Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, offense and defense coordinators, they get coaching jobs next year, where does that leave Detroit? Your over-under for wins is 12. You take the over or the under? I take the under. In that division, probably the best division in football. I now say that the NFC North is the best division in football. I used to say the AFC North was. With all that talent, young Green Bay and Jordan Love, if Sam Darnold comes back and they get a better offensive line in Minnesota, and if Caleb Williams gets the better coach for himself and that team and those pieces in Chicago, I take the under in Detroit. And I feel for them. I would love to see them win a Super Bowl. Now we got to find out what happens later on today on Sunday. But as far as Washington, Jayden Daniels and that team, Washington's a problem. Washington officially is back on the map. They're a problem.